the winter of 1959. 9 experienced hikers set out on a challenging expedition into Russia's remote Ural Mountains. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was a disciplined engineering student known for his careful planning and calm leadership. The group consisted of skilled mountaineers, many of whom had already completed difficult winter treks. Several members of the group were engineering students. Others had experience navigating harsh winter terrain. They were trained to make calm decisions under pressure and were considered capable of handling extreme conditions. They were young, confident, and determined to reach their destination, which was a remote snowy peak called Otorten. The landscape around them was brutal. Temperatures dropped far below freezing, and icy winds swept across the mountains. But for this team, danger was part of the adventure. They continued forward, pushing deeper into the wilderness. As they moved farther from civilization, the environment grew more unforgiving. Communication was limited. Rescue, if needed, would be days away, if it came at all. They carried journals, cameras, and carefully prepared equipment, documenting almost every step of their journey. Their early photos and diary entries showed laughter, jokes, and moments of warmth, even in the freezing cold. But as they pushed farther into the mountains, the weather began to change. Strong winds and heavy snow forced the group off course. Instead of reaching shelter, they stopped on an exposed mountain slope. The mountain was known by the local Mansi people as the Mountain of the Dead. There, in the freezing darkness, they set up their camp. It would be the last one they ever built. When the hikers failed to return, rescue teams were sent into the mountains. Days later, they discovered the group's tent, abandoned on the frozen slope. What they found next was deeply unsettling. Footprints led away from the tent, heading downhill toward the forest. Some of the footprints were barefoot, others wore only socks, despite the deadly freezing temperatures. Near the edge of the forest, rescuers made their first horrifying discovery. 2 of the hikers were found lying in the snow, barely clothed. The branches above them were broken, as if someone had climbed the tree in desperation. Not far away, 3 more hikers were found. Their bodies were positioned as if they had been trying to crawl back toward the camp. Investigators searched the area carefully, but there were no signs of a struggle and no clear explanation. 5 hikers were now dead, and the remaining 4 were still missing. Months later, after the snow began to melt, search teams made another discovery. Deep in a nearby ravine, they found the remaining 4 hikers. When rescuers reached the ravine, they noticed something deeply unsettling. These hikers were better dressed than the others. Some were wearing clothing that clearly did not belong to them. This suggested that the hikers had survived for some time after leaving the camp. Long enough to make decisions, long enough to try to help one another. But what shocked investigators the most were the injuries. Several hikers had massive internal damage, yet there were no external wounds and no signs of a violent struggle. Medical examiners later described the injuries as comparable to those seen in high-speed car crashes. The force required was enormous, yet the skin was largely intact. Investigators searched the area carefully. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints from attackers, and no clear explanation for what had happened. Soon after, the case was officially investigated by Soviet authorities. Reports were written, evidence was cataloged. After months of investigation, authorities reached a final decision. The case was officially closed. No further searches were ordered. But the explanation itself raised more questions than answers. The report cited only one cause, a compelling natural force. Many documents were sealed, and the full truth was never made public. Years passed, then decades, but the Dyatlov Pass Incident refused to fade into history. Instead, it became one of the most debated mysteries of the modern world. The story spread far beyond Russia. Researchers, writers, and scientists across the world began examining the case, each hoping to finally explain what others could not. One of the most widely accepted explanations is an avalanche. According to this theory, a sudden slide of snow may have forced the hikers to flee their camp, believing they had only seconds to escape. But the avalanche theory has serious problems. The slope was relatively gentle, the camp was not buried, and the injuries did not match what avalanches usually cause. Another theory suggests the hikers experienced something far less visible, a phenomenon known as infrasound, low-frequency sound waves caused by wind, which can trigger intense fear and disorientation. But panic alone cannot explain what happened. It does not account for the severe internal injuries, the missing body parts, or the level of force investigators later documented. Some investigators began to suspect human involvement. Reports emerged of strange lights seen in the sky that night. Others pointed to possible military testing in the region, activities never meant to be witnessed. Yet even these theories fall apart under closer examination. No explanation fully accounts for every detail, the injuries, the missing evidence, and the choices the hikers made that night. Decades later, scientists and researchers reopened the case, hoping modern knowledge could succeed where the original investigation failed. Using modern technology, researchers attempted to recreate the conditions on the mountain, analyzing weather patterns, terrain, and every known detail of the expedition. Computer simulations and new analysis offered fresh insights, but even modern science struggled to provide a complete answer. The mountain still stands, silent, unchanged. And whatever happened there that night remains a mystery. What do you think happened on that mountain? Was it nature, human involvement, or something we still don't understand? Share your theory in the comments. This story may never be fully understood. If you want to explore more mysteries like it, subscribe.